Hey guys, this is Jay Calderon with Jay on Boxing here, giving you my semi-immediate reaction to the exhibition bout between former world champion Floyd Mayweather and YouTube sensation Logan Paul. Fight took place in Miami, Florida at the Hard Rock Stadium. Was with a, kind of quasi-capacity crowd based upon, the obvious. And you had the two in there looking to collect large paydays for what effectively turned into really what we all should have assumed that it was going to be. A novice fighter who really had no business being in there with a guy who was probably not going to take any chances, because why would he? He's going to collect the same paycheck, win, lose, knockout, whatever, in Floyd Mayweather. And ultimately just an 8-round exhibition bout that led to just about nothing besides their bank accounts. And congratulations to them. I'm certainly not the sort of person to hate on anyone for making money any way they can, legally or even illegally. It's none of my business. But as it pertains to kind of covering that fight, I had some, thoughts and ideas as a kind of, like I said, as it pertains to the fight itself. So we'll get into that here. The first thing I thought of when, just looking at people kind of responding and reacting online is how this is just making a mockery of the sport, and Floyd isn't knocking him out, and this, you're hearing all of these sorts of things, and it's just, first of all, I don't think some of these newer fans understand how exhibitions have gone in the past. This is more or less how they go. The actual trained athlete or the fighter expected to win, typically the bigger fighter, whatever it might be, usually lays off the novice to not look like a complete scumbag, and really won't take many risks or chances of looking to get embarrassed, and then ultimately will just kind of carry his man to the finish line. Sometimes, again, you'll have a situation where Mayweather in his first exhibition traveled over to Asia and just completely blasted out a young man in the first frame, and that can happen too. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but Mayweather is 44 years old, giving up about 30 odd pounds in the ring against a much younger guy who has bigger reach and just bigger dimensions in general, and who is not the least athletic person I've ever seen. Mayweather's just not taking those kind of chances. Why would he? Once again, not by a single fraction of a dollar does his paycheck change if he knocks him out. There is nothing to gain from taking those chances at this age, and to be honest with you, why would he? There's just no incentive to do so. You've already either bought the pay-per-view or you haven't. Him knocking him out is not going to change your opinion of Mayweather. You either liked him or you didn't like him. A lot of people hate him. A lot of people love him. That's just the way it's going to go. So really, this idea that this somehow did something bad for the sport of boxing is just nonsense. It didn't. Nothing about boxing changes. Later this year, Canelo Alvarez will look to unify the super middleweight division. We should have a couple of hopefully decent heavyweight clashes within the next year or two, and we should have a lot of fighters around welterweight and junior welterweight and even lightweight to some degree putting on some really good performances in the next couple of years if they decide to ever fight each other, and nothing Floyd and Logan did will change that in the slightest. You also heard some nonsense about if this was an MMA fight, of course, it would be significantly different because, you would have had someone who would just have taken him down and completely stretched him and submitted him and choked him and all these sorts of things. And you know what? You're right. That would have happened. But you also wouldn't have had a significantly smaller MMA fighter taking on someone who would jump into that sport because they wouldn't have the time to prepare for that many different types of disciplines. It's a different type of sport. It isn't this idea, we really do have to get our minds around this notion, and this very, very simple notion at that. Boxing and MMA are different. And you know how I know they're different? Because MMA incorporates boxing, but it has other things too. So when we make these foolish, stupid comparisons between one and the other, it makes no sense. This is just an illogical argument. So this idea, you have all these MMA fans who are like, oh, our fighters would have taken him out quicker. You even have boxing fans saying like, oh man, it looks bad because an MMA guy would have taken him out quicker. Stop comparing the two. It makes zero sense. Boxing is boxing, MMA is MMA. When I want to watch MMA, you know what I watch? MMA. When I want to watch boxing, guess what I watch? Boxing. They're two different things. As a matter of fact, the thing I most enjoy about MMA is when they do get on the ground, because it's something different to the sport that I love the most, which is boxing. To assume that you're going to get similar results or similar circumstances based upon the sort of injection of these kind of weird exhibition fights is just silly. It makes no sense. MMA to some degree is a sport of trying to really force someone to surrender, which is a quicker action than trying to set up punches. That's just, yeah, yes, of course, you're still feinting, you're setting things up. I'm not suggesting that, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or amateur wrestling is a simpler form of fighting in that sense. It's certainly not. They all have their complexities. But what I'm saying is your number one objective in almost every single encounter, unless you really feel you're just going to be in a battle of attrition in, say, an amateur wrestling contest, is to try and gain the upper hand as quickly as possible, take them down, and put them into a neutralized position. In boxing, yes, you're trying to do similar things, but the expectation is not that it's going to happen within the first 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds even. It's just a different sport. Comparing the two makes you sound like an idiot. You're already online talking about something that you really don't need to be talking about all that much because it is just an exhibition fight. Don't make yourself sound any dumber. And trust me, this is me looking in the mirror. I know I sound stupid here too talking about this nonsense because why are we talking about it? But here we are on a Sunday night. In any event, I mean, for what it was, it had a decent undercard, I suppose, considering I didn't expect much of it. And again, it didn't harm the sport irreversibly. And now we're going to have to spend the next 10, 20 years trying to recover from these sort of wounds. None of that stuff matters. In the end, Mayweather picks up yet another check to set up yet another exhibition down the line, I'm sure. The circus continues to move from town to town. In any event, let me know what you guys thought of the entire event down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas on it. And who'd you have winning if you were scoring it? Were you surprised that Logan actually did hang around? Do you think Mayweather should have stopped him or needed to stop him? Let me know what you think will happen next in regards to exhibitions. Your overall take on exhibitions would be great as well. Be sure to leave that down in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really greatly appreciated. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at jcalderon_JOB. You can also email me at junboxing@gmail.com. And of course, visit junboxing.com for schedule results, betting odds, rankings, all that good stuff, so on and so forth. And as always, until next time.